Happy Saturday. Brandon Liguori alongside Hussam Patel. This is our second College Football Saturday podcast. Hussam and I debuted a week ago discussing three big games, but two games that Hussam and I had picked. Florida knocking off Georgia 44-28. Hussam, I think I got a little edge over you on that one. Florida just completely dominating the football game on the offensive side. And to wrap things up, Clemson and Notre Dame. Notre Dame shocking the number one team, the number one ranked Clemson Tigers, 47-40 in double overtime. But before we get things going, Hussam, how are you doing? And happy Saturday.
Happy College Football Saturday, Brandon. I'm doing really great. I'm excited to be back for our second podcast. And last week's games was absolutely amazing. I know we spoke about UF versus Georgia, and I do want to say this pounding that the Gators did. It was as a result of Stetson Bennett being out and Georgia playing catch up from behind initially. And I wanted to get your thoughts on if you saw any change of Dan Mullen's defense after Stetson Bennett got injured.
Well, first off, during the beginning of the game, how about Georgia jumping off to a quick 14-0 lead? I believe that the Florida defensive unit as a whole really was playing back on Stetson Bennett, allowing him to make easy throws down the field. And when Georgia jumped off to a quick 14-0 lead, it kind of worried me because you and I both discussed last week on our debut show that if either team falls behind quickly, that this game could get out of reach. But when Stetson Bennett got hurt, and I believe he hurt his throwing shoulder, which is obviously worse for any quarterback, whether you're at the collegiate or professional level, it throws off your throwing motion. And from there on out, the Florida defensive unit and even the offensive unit, and led by quarterback Kyle Trask, was just able to take full edge.
For sure. And, Dan Mullen's offense and that UF offense has some great weapons, and Georgia's defense was embattled and riddled with injuries due some to COVID-19 and other injuries due to their defensive line. And as we spoke, Richard LeCount with his motorcycle accident. So Georgia really feasted on. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Redo it again. So Florida really feasted on Georgia being embattled with injuries, and they have such great explosive firepower on offense with Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, and Trayvon Grimes, and they absolutely feasted. Which led them to win this game. And it was a great game to watch. And we saw the South Bend Shocker in South Bend, Indiana, where Notre Dame took this game into overtime, where even before overtime, that double overtime, I'm sorry, I misspoke, double overtime, where before the overtime even began, Ian Book led that 1 minute long drive from 90 yards in the last minutes of the fourth quarter to get that late minute touchdown in, to take it into overtime and then double overtime. Can we also talk about Kyron Williams? He was absolutely prolific, scoring those three rushing touchdowns. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I think he could be a steal within the first round of this draft. He's so quick and smooth in the coverage, and he closes in on ball carriers in a snap. He's such an impact player in the blitz game, and he's doing a fantastic job of disguising his blitzes and using his speed to create pressure on the quarterback. And we saw that against Clemson and with DJ Uiagalelei. Now, I know I gave my bold take on how DJ Uiagalelei could possibly dethrone Trevor Lawrence. Brandon, would this be the same type of game if Trevor Lawrence was playing?
You can say that this result would have been a bit different, and just because Trevor Lawrence has been in this spot before, like you and I had both talked about last Saturday, Trevor Lawrence has been in obviously 2 national title games. Trevor Lawrence has been in big games throughout his high school career, even before committing to Clemson University. But I believe, and in my honest opinion, because Trevor Lawrence only lost one college game, and that came, like we had talked about, in the 2020 national title game this past January against Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers. And we saw Joe Burrow getting selected the #1 overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. But if Lawrence was honestly under centered last Saturday, I really wouldn't – first of all, I wouldn't have seen Notre Dame put up 47 points because I believe that Clemson would have put this game away to bed early. Now, I know this was a 1 versus 4 matchup, and both teams came into this game unblemished. But if Lawrence was under center with his capability and, again, with his game experience, I believe that Clemson honestly would have won this game by 7 or more points.
Exactly. And Trevor Lawrence is such a great prospect, and I truly believe he's going to be going to #1. And speaking of a shocker from South Bend, can we talk about Michigan? I mean, who would have expected them to be this bad? I mean, even though they roared back, they still lost to Indiana. And give credit to Indiana. Indiana is playing great. They're playing absolutely amazing football. And I think Harbaugh might be a little bit in trouble. We previously spoke about Brian Kelly not being able to win these big games, and he proved it yesterday that he can. He proved it last week that he can against Clemson. We haven't seen that from Harbaugh at all. What big games has he won recently? He has never won against Ohio State. And Ohio State is
games against Ohio State have been quite blowouts. I mean, I think there was one year. Well, there was one year, I believe, in 2016, the game went into overtime. I'm not sure if it was a single overtime or double overtime, but I know Ohio State won on a walk-off rushing touchdown. That was probably the closest that I've seen. I believe there was one time where Ohio State put up 70 points. Was it 60 or was it 70 points? There was one year where they put an absolute shellacking on Michigan.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, but it's been these Ohio State Michigan games have not been in Michigan's favor. It's always been Ohio State cruising itself to the Big Ten national championship game and to the college football playoffs. And
speaking of Ohio State, sorry just to interrupt you for a moment. Speaking of Ohio State, they were supposed to play against Tua's brother, I believe, later on tonight, but due to the rise in COVID-19 cases in facing that game, we won't be seeing that tonight. That honestly would have been a very interesting game. Tua's brother's been playing lights out. I mean, the last 2 weeks, he's been playing like we hope to see Tua play tomorrow afternoon at first the Los Angeles Chargers. His brother's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, Talia Tagovailoa has been playing lights out. I mean, who would have expected Maryland to be this good? And they honestly shellacked Penn State, and that's another shocker. Penn State is 0-3. They've never been 0-3 against James Franklin. And Talia Tagovailoa was making those reads. He was running to get the first down, converting on third down, and slicing and dicing Penn State's defense. Could we possibly see the Dolphins pick him after this draft as a backup quarterback for Tua?
I mean, talk about brotherly love. You would have one brother starting quarterback for a professional organization, and then you have your younger brother backing up your older brother for the same organization. I mean, there would be a lot of stories for the media to write about that. But hey, I take it as a Saturday by Saturday basis. I like to look things on a week to week basis to see which players are on the uprise and which players are on the downfall. But definitely, I mean, any backup quarterback in college football, you're playing lights out. It really could help the Dolphins because we really don't know Ryan Fitzpatrick's future. And he's practically said that for the amount of money that he's getting paid, he doesn't really want to be a backup. And if I'm getting paid $8, $9, $10 million a year, I really wouldn't want to be sitting on the sidelines either holding, whether it's a playbook or just standing there watching. I mean, you never want a quarterback taking your role, whether you're a 16-year veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick or whether you're a rookie like Tua. But hey, it's just the nature of the NFL business, and we'll see what the Dolphins decide to do moving forward in this upcoming 2021 draft.
That's right. And in college, we've seen a lot of these backup or even starting quarterbacks transfer as a result of backups playing them in their previous team, or they just wanted to get out of their current situation. And we can talk about right now about Indiana's transfer quarterback, Peyton Ramsey, who's playing against Purdue today for Northwestern. And Northwestern is ranked, and Peyton Ramsey has absolutely transformed this Northwestern offense, and he's a very stable, solid pocket guy in the position. And he's been doing great with his receivers. And let me tell you this, Northwestern has just three drops, just three drops on the season, and their defense has also helped them out and kept them in games and went out close. Now, on Purdue's side, we won't be able to see Rondale Moore play, and I know he's he's a star wide receiver in this class, along with Jamar Chase, along with Jalen Waddle, along with Devonta Smith and Rashad Bateman. He's not playing, so we won't be able to see his talents, but he's also a future first round wide receiver. One Northwestern player we could see for the Dolphins is tackle Roshan Slater. He's got great mobility in the run game, and we've seen the Dolphins' O-line not being able to open up those holes or finding the point of attack in the run game. So what Slater does is he absolutely gets the defenders out of the gap which the running backs are supposed to go through, and he's a big man that moves defensive linemen. So watch out for Rashawn Slater in that game. And Brendan, let me get your thoughts on another quarterback for BYU for BYU, Zach Wilson.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I've probably checked out BYU approximately 2 or 3 times because I know them being in the Mountain West, a lot of their games are really on late, and I'm probably either studying or practically going to sleep soon. But I've checked out some of his highlights on YouTube, and he kind of reminds me of Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. I mean, able to throw the deep ball. I mean, able to escape. If you looked at some of his throws, he's able to escape the pocket cleanly. I just don't know really if the Dolphins are seeking a backup quarterback just yet. I mean, it is obviously very interesting, as always, to take a look at the top quarterback prospects. When I enter a new draft, I always look at the top quarterbacks first, just because I always like to compare which college quarterback can best be compared to a current professional quarterback. But I mean, you look at BYU, I believe they are undefeated, and so he's obviously got to be doing well. I mean, if your team is sitting in the top 10 undefeated, so that's definitely 2 points that you can take a look at.
Yeah, he's doing absolutely well, and I don't agree with your opinion that he's like Josh Allen. My player comp for him is that he's a much, much better Johnny Manziel, and he's rising fast. He's rising so fast in the draft force, and no one would have thought. It's kind of like a Joe Burrow situation where Joe Burrow was projected to go around the fifth and sixth round. Now, Zach Wilson was projected to go around there too before the season, but now he's suddenly a top 10 pick contender or one of the first 4 or 5 quarterbacks being taken off the board. And I think the Dolphins are not going to pick up a backup quarterback in this draft, but what's going to help them is Zach Wilson's development throughout the season. So another team could take another quarterback, and the Dolphins get a really, really good skill position in the draft, whether it be for a wide receiver, a defensive end, or a safety. And we saw that in 2018 when a couple quarterbacks, there was a run on quarterbacks in the 2018 draft, and we saw Christian Wilkins slide, and the Dolphins immediately took him then and
Right.
there.
I mean, I can tell you right now, with the Dolphins placing Preston Williams on injured reserve because of a foot injury, meaning that he'll miss a minimum of 3 games. And Jason and I had discussed that yesterday in our podcast. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, that was a Week 10 preview against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Dolphins should honestly look for a wideout this upcoming April. I mean, Preston Williams suffering a season-ending knee injury last year as a undrafted rookie. Preston Williams now suffering a foot injury this year. Jason and I had talked about it yesterday during our show. You can't really rely on just one guy to carry the team. So the Dolphins, in all honesty, whether the Dolphins have a top 5 pick, whether the Dolphins have a top 7 pick, if Jamari Chase is there, I would honestly take that, because Jamari Chase is a guy. Number one, he's from LSU, so he's in an SEC conference, a very talented SEC conference, and he presents speed off the line of scrimmage, which would help. I mean, imagine having him, Devontae Parker, a healthy Devontae Parker, which we've seen his capabilities when Devontae Parker is 100% healthy. And now you can also factor in Jakeem Grant and Albert Wilson, who, don't forget, opted out this season because of COVID reasons. So if it wasn't for COVID-19, Albert Wilson would be in the picture during this season. So the wideout position is definitely a position that I'm looking at. I wanted the Dolphins to take a running back in this past April's draft, and they did not do that. And we see why that's starting to bite them, because Jordan Howard, with the amount of money that the organization decided to pay him, which I don't really like to go into the terms of whether it was a highly overpaid contract or whether it was a good contract. I mean, in my opinion, a contract is a contract. It's a contract that the Dolphins decided to give him. I don't think he's been producing to the capabilities that he has. I mean, there was one year with the Philadelphia Eagles where he was playing Pro Bowl level type football, and despite Jordan Howard having 4 rushing scores this year, they've all been goal line scores. But hey, we're only in mid-November. The draft's in April. There's still a lot of college football left. You got the playoffs coming up. I'm just excited to see which prospects can, like I said, can be on the rise and which can be on the down. But if I'm the Miami Dolphins and I'm general manager Chris Greer and I'm head coach Brian Flores, I'm definitely looking to take a speedy wideout.
For sure. And to build up on your claim for our running back, there was some hoorah about the Chiefs picking Clyde Edwards-Helaire before we even picked up Noah Igbenogany. And honestly, they could have picked up Helaire then and there, but we wouldn't have Noah Igbenogany. Now, there are a couple of running backs available in this upcoming draft. We have Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Puka Williams. And let me tell you about a small school prospect, a running back prospect, which you might have not heard about. This small school prospect comes from Liberty, and surprise, surprise, Dolphins fans, guess who else went there? Walt Aikens went there, and the coach right now for the Liberty Flames is Hugh Freeze, and he's done an absolute amazing job turning around this college team, and they're now 7-0.
Yep, 7-0, and they're currently winning against Western Carolina 42-7, which that's a kind of a meaningless game. So you can check in the number 22 Liberty Flames moving to a perfect 8-0 start. That's highly impressive. I don't think I've ever remembered Liberty ever cracking the top 25.
I don't think I've seen it either. And when this running back by the name of Joshua Mack, he might not be a first or second or third round pick either, but he could be towards the back end around 6th or 7th round, where running backs are found aplenty, and running backs are a dime. You can find them anywhere in the draft, and he's been doing great with Liberty. He finished the 2019 season with 792 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns, and he's got great vision with his stout O-line back there, and we would be able to see how he would progress onto the season and throughout the draft prospect. So that's probably one small school prospect which I'm shining a light on that could help the Dolphins.
Correct. And now, before we started our show, I heard that you were bringing on a special guest today. Who is that guest? And I'm excited to have him on.
Yeah, for sure. So our guest today is Justin from Justin's Pro Scouting Analysis on Twitter, and he lives in Colorado Springs, and he's also an avid Dolphins fan like us. So we'll have him in a couple of minutes. Right now, we could talk about how Ohio State is doing, and Justin Fields is doing absolutely amazing. He's so smooth, and he's so quick with the release, and he looks so much better than last year. Brandon, how much different would it look for the college football and the Big Ten if Fields stayed at Penn State or Georgia instead of at Ohio State?
Well, we can also talk about what would have happened if Urban Meyer decided to stay at Florida. What happened if Urban Meyer decided to stay at Ohio State? Because Urban Meyer is obviously a legendary head coach, but even if Justin Fields decided to stay and not transfer to the Ohio State Buckeyes, I still believe Ohio State would be dominant. I mean, this is a storied program. This is a team that you really see every year. They're pretty much in the top 5, even top 10. I mean, they bring in electric quarterbacks. They bring in electric running backs. They bring in electric wideouts. They're the Boza brothers both went to Ohio State. I believe both Joey and Nick. I mean, this is just one of those storied programs like Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida. These are just programs that produce consistent first-round NFL-level talent. And so I really wouldn't see if one player decided to stay, it would completely change an entire program. I'm sure current head coach Ryan Day and that scouting team would have definitely found their true program-changing quarterback. But, hey, Justin Fields putting up impressive numbers because, remember, there was one time where the Big Ten wasn't really supposed to be playing college football this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But through 3 games, and Ohio State is currently ranked 3, you can see that Justin Fields, there's no signs of rust from him. I mean, Justin Fields is playing like he was in 2019. It's definitely exciting to watch. I see Justin Fields taking off the board extremely early this upcoming April.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And the COVID-19 pandemic has absolutely, I mean, what's the word that I can say? It's absolutely puzzled the entire world. It's puzzled different types of industries, and it's absolutely puzzled college football as well. The SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten and even the Pac-12 have had to do numerous amounts of schedule changes, and we know Alabama and LSU, they're not playing. Neither is Texas A&M and Tennessee due to COVID concerns. What kind of changes could we see possibly next year for college football if the COVID-19 pandemic does tend to linger on later on next year? Hopefully not, but what could we see, Brandon?
Well, the NFL world, and it obviously was factored in this season because of COVID-19. I would love to see games being played on different days throughout the week. There was, I believe, earlier this year, the Buffalo Bills and Tennessee Titans played on a Tuesday night, which is actually very interesting to see because you normally watch games. They're either on Sundays, Mondays, or Thursdays. So factor in, let's say, a college game, and it even happened before COVID-19 struck the United States. There were college games on Friday nights. I believe there's a college game early tomorrow morning, which that's pretty cool if you attend church on Sunday mornings and then you come out of church and there's a Pac-12 game going on before the 1 o'clock slate of NFL games kick off. But yeah, I would honestly be interested to see. I mean, does the college football committee really take it as should we play games on not only Fridays and Saturdays, but maybe Mondays? Maybe we'll have a couple big games on Wednesday nights just to give something for the fans to watch throughout this crisis. I mean, this is something that we really haven't. I mean, there really hasn't been a COVID. There really hasn't been a pandemic. I mean, this is something you see in you probably won't see something like this for the next century. So, I mean, this is something that, I mean, yes, COVID-19 has obviously affected many lives, and it's obviously tragic to see. But during this difficult time, if they're able to put a college football game on our television screens, not only on Fridays and Saturdays, but maybe 4 or 5 days a week, and just space it out by each conference, that would be pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I mean, it's taken a toll for us. We're college kids. It's taken us a toll as well. This COVID-19 pandemic is absolutely historic, and it's going to take time for us to relearn, and even in the football world. So now, today, we're going to be introducing Justin from Justin's Pro Scouting Analysis, and we're waiting on a little bit on his end for him to come and give us a breakdown of Chris Olave. Chris Olave is a potential wide receiver draft pick for the Miami Dolphins, and as we said earlier on in the show, what's going to happen if, let's say, we don't get Jalen Waddle? What if we don't get Jamar Chase? What if we don't get Rondale Moore? Um, how, you know, what's going to happen um, throughout the draft? And I believe that Chris Olave could be the guy. Um, he could be the guy that the Dolphins could take either at with their second first round pick or later on in the second and third round.
Yeah, I mean, if the Dolphins elect, well, not really elect, but if another team jumps on one of these explosive wideouts quick, the Dolphins will just simply look for another position in need. I mean, running back for sure. Travis Etienne strikes my eyes. I mean, here's a guy coming from the ACC, coming from a program who's pretty much reached the national championship game, I feel like, every single year. But it's just going to be a simple business product. If the Dolphins are not able to grab a wideout, you just move down the list and you hit your next position of need.
So right now, we're going to be introducing our guest in from Justin from Justin's Pro Scouting Analysis on Twitter. He's a big Dolphins fans and a big PhinManiacs, just like us. And we're going to be talking about, again, what's going to happen if the Dolphins don't get Jalen Waddle within the first few picks of the draft? What if they don't get Jamar Chase? What if they don't get Rashad Bateman? And what if they don't see Rondale Moore or Kadarius Toney as a receiver day one? So today we're going to be talking about Chris Olave, and Justin is going to be diving deep into the All 22 and giving his scouting analysis on Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave. So Justin, tell me, man, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, Justin. Let's delve right in and take a deep dive into this All 22 analysis. I'm so excited for you to be showing us this today.
All right, this one honestly is just the highlight reel, which is done by Colton Denning. I got the other all 22 that we can go back onto, and we'll look a little bit at that too. This will be a little bit more viewer friendly, so you can see a little bit more of Olave live in action. But let's just start it right off here. As you'll see, he gets a lot of separation from the receiver or from the deep back, excuse me. I have him graded out through certain categories, which would be, starting with his speed. As we all know, he's really speedy. He's very fast. I have it graded out being excellent to almost elite. We'll see where he tests out at the combine. But from the naked eye, I would say it's somewhere between low or high 4.3s, low 4.4s. We'll see when he tests out. But then you get into another category of his agility and his change of direction. As you can see right there, it's a really quick. He has very quick feet, and his change of direction actually would grade out as excellent as well. If you were doing like a number scale, say from like 1 to 10, like 10 being elite, these would be 8s, both of them. His feet, they are very fast, very ninja-like. As you can see, when he stops, he stops. When he cuts, he cuts. He's got great feet and great change of direction from side to side. They also test out as excellent. His route running it's very good. He does some routes that a lot of people would probably die to be able to run like he runs them. He's got a very developed route tree. It's something to where he can run damn near everything. Obviously, he runs a lot of the fly. Excuse me, sorry about that. The fly, the flat, dig, the drag, the post, comebacks, cross, slants, curls, you name it.
He can basically run everything in the route tree. He's not a specialty in just one area.
Yeah, he can run dang near everything. He can even run some smoke. He can even run some slug go. I was just going to talk about that as well, Juice. He actually runs an option route very well and will take it and break it off from being a crosser, and then he'll take it right up the seam. Some of the other things he gets into that, like when the play breaks down, he just finds a way to get open, and usually he'll take it vertical on him. His hands check out also is excellent, as you can see from his highlights. Here's a good all 22 shot right there of it. See the separation he has on the deep back right there is just – it's outstanding. If the Dolphins do miss out on like a Waddle or someone like that, like Devontae Smith, this guy wouldn't be a bad option. See, and he offers you some special teams right there too. There he blocked a punt right there and he gets his hands in there. That's all created from speed. His contact balance is very good. It could be a little bit better, but it's very good for his size. He's 6'1", 187. His pad level is good. It could be better. Like, you know, there's he plays a little bit high with his pad level, and that's like kind of the only knock I have on him really, is that he plays a little high with his pad level and he rounds off his routes a little bit.
Now, speaking of pad level, I
Uh-huh.
do know that wide receivers, they also require themselves to be blockers in the run game. Do you have some type of in-depth analysis where how he's graded out in a run blocking scheme? Let's say, you know, using power motions or motioning him to be sort of like a small tight end and getting the gaps open for the running back.
Yeah, we'd have to go look at more of the Indiana game, which I have some of the all-22 footage from that. I could back out of the highlight reel and go into that, which it's kind of harder to see him though. But he does fit into more of a spread scheme than sort of that, like how you're going to bring him down and use him as a blocker and that kind of a motion. But he can run block. He's a willing participant, but he doesn't really factor in heavy into a run blocking scheme. As far as him being a great run blocker, he can do it, but he's going to have to, at the next level, try to advance that part of his game. But his football IQ is very, very high. I grade that out as an excellent as well. It seems that he finds his place to be on the field everywhere he needs to be. If he's running a read route, he sits down right where he needs to sit down in the zone. If he's breaking it off, he breaks it off into the point where he's going to get open. I noticed also when he runs his routes, he is really, really explosive at the top of it and not at the bottom of the route. He's not as explosive. So at the top of it, he's really, really, really explosive, meaning he'll just break off at the top, and next thing you know, you're behind 2 yards. I also noticed in the red zone, he's good. He's better than I thought. He uses his speed in the red zone the right way to where it'll beat you mostly horizontally. He's actually got some special teams ability, as we saw when he blocked the punt. And then you'll see as you go through this highlight reel too, he actually had a play where they did an onside kick and he actually fielded it on the sideline. So he has a little bit of special teams ability as well.
So in terms of draft readiness, he looks really, really polished and really, really mature. It's just about the Dolphins needing a speedy guy out wide that can create the separation. I mean, we've seen it in the past couple games where Preston Williams and Devontae Parker, they have not done as well in getting separation. Tua has elite athleticism and accuracy, and he really thrives on those short passes such as slants where the wide receivers can separate themselves and get big gains out of it. And this is something where Olave Olave's strength is, and he could help out the Dolphins at need for the wide receiver position. So let's go into some of the all 22, Justin.
Let's say the Dolphins, and obviously as we know they hold the Houston Texans' first-round pick. Let's say that it's the Dolphins' time to pick, and let's say all three wideouts that we're all three of us are talking about are on the board. Who do you go with, and why?
Oh, that's a rough question. Okay, so Waddle, Jamar Chase, and Olave.
Yes.
It's tough.
Because
Is this for, or is this
can create that separation? I mean, with Jamari Chase, I know he opted out this year because of COVID, so we weren't really able to see whether his game was going to be taken to the next level. But his 2019 was absolutely, I mean, unbelievable.
It was. His tape was very phenomenal, and he creates separation as well. And obviously, we will see these guys when they test out at the combine. I mean, obviously, granted, if COVID don't stop that too. But
right.
Out of all those three of those guys, if we were talking, Waddle, Jamar Chase, and Olave.
Yes.
The fastest one out of all of them, I think, is going to be Waddle.
Correct.
But I would probably take somebody like Olave because he's a little bit more polished as a receiver, and he can run dang near any route you want. So if we were to miss out, say, on like a Jamar Chase and everybody wanted him, or even the coaching staff and Flo wanted him, and they miss out on Waddle and him, then Olave is a great fallback option.
Correct.
He's really good. He can make the tough contested catches as well. He's a sticky hands catcher. He catches with his hands. He's pretty good. That would be my pick. Would probably be Olave.
Yeah, because the Dolphins need a receiver who can create, obviously, separation. But the Dolphins obviously need a receiver who can be consistent, because Devontae Parker had a career year last season. He hasn't really put up staggering numbers this year, but obviously now the Dolphins are going through a tremendous quarterback change, so we'll see if his game grows. But I'm just looking to see if the Dolphins will draft a receiver who can be, game changing week to week.
I'm right there with you. I think we're going to need something like that, and I really think somebody like Olave fits, and so does Waddle. Even that Devontae Smith, they fit. Like, he does offer you yards after the catch, Olave. And I have these on my side notes written here when I did the write-up. He's a separation king. I mean, this guy creates a lot of separation yards from, like, the average separation yards of our receivers of late was only like 1.8, 1.9. See, look right here on the All-22, that's Olave on the sideline. That's the one you caught on the highlight reel where he caught it just on 1 foot right there. You can see the separation right there. It's harder to see on the All-22, but you'll catch him coming up as number 17. They'll split him out wide and bring him in motion as well.
And let's say the Dolphins do draft one of these stout wideouts. Do you see Albert Wilson possibly being affected by this? Because Albert Wilson's had some pretty great yards after catch. If you flash back to his 2018 season and even towards the end of 2019. Obviously did not play this season because of COVID, but if Brian Flores and Chris Greer decided to grab one of these 3 stout wideouts, just one, do you see it factoring maybe a Jakeem Grant and Albert Wilson? How do you see that playing out?
If we were to draft either one of those 3, and even Devontae Smith, I'd throw him in there as well, or Ronald Moore, the other small, flashy wideout. If you were to throw any of those guys into the mix, I think that the snaps are pretty much limited for Jakeem, but I think he sticks. And unless Wilson's willing to take a pay cut, I think especially if we bring in another guy, he's played his last game as a Dolphin.
Right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Anytime.
So Justin, take us to some of the game tape on Olave against this in this Indiana game, where you saw that flashes of versatility, flashes of speed, and going over the top and creating that separation.
See, it's actually right there. That's creating mad separation over the top, which all starts going to be from the top of his stem. Right here's all 22 views. Some of them, you'll see how he has this. It's a drag, and he turns the drag into a straight go. With a little bit of curl on it, obviously going into the middle of the field. But see, here he comes across on the drag right here. This is what offers yak yard. As soon as he gets it in his hands, he turns up field and goes with it. I like that about him. See, he's really quick, and we could use that on our team, and anybody could use that speed on their team. The difference with somebody like Olave and a lot of other receivers is that I think he really knows how to use the speed. Like I said, at the bottom of the stem, he's explosive, but not as explosive as he is at the top of it. If you allow this guy to, like right here, look, he's one-on-one, boom, he just curls it out, boom, he's got a quick little flat right out, and he's wide open by almost 2 yards. Here's that play I was talking about, right here to the bottom. See, they ran him a onside kick, and he's the one who fielded it on the bottom of the screen down there. That's the kind of stuff you can't teach. This kind of stuff, you guys. He's smart. He's a very headsy player, too. It seems like he always knows where he's at. If he needs 7 yards, he's getting 8. This is the kind of player he is. He's very cerebral.
And I think this is the type of player which Brian Flores would have fun on the offensive side. He's very versatile in any type of position, whether it's the X, Y, or the Z position. He can even be used on special teams as a special teams ace, as a gunner, or even be used on fakes. And as we saw on the onside kick, he fits the team and he fits the culture which Brian Flores has enabled this Dolphins team to do. And I believe that the Dolphins could pick him with their second pick and opt in for a defensive player with their first pick in the first round.
I would be all for that. See, like back there, if you've seen this play, I'm running on the end zone right here. Watch this play where if you watch him, he's put in the slot. Like you said, he can run them all right here. Watch how he picks through it right here. So he's like, oh, I'm just going to go right around them all because he's seen that they were in his way. And look at how that separation he created right there. He's pretty smart. And down there, we all know in the red zone, the spaces become that much more tighter. I mean, there's really not one route I haven't seen the guy run, honestly. But
well, Justin, this was absolutely enlightening for us as writers to see, for us as scouts to see, and this is going to be great for the Dolphins fans to view and really get an in-depth look of one of the players the Dolphins really should be scouting at, and a player that the Dolphins should really be looking for, specifically since wide receiver is a need for this Dolphins team in the upcoming draft. So, Justin, I want to thank you. Thank you for your scouting and your in-depth analysis, and for the fans to enjoy this. Thank you so much, Justin.
Oh, no, not a problem. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. But before I go, I was just going to say one thing. I do have him, I would have to say, graded out as a round 1 to 2 guy. So he's going to go in the first to second round guy. That's how I got him. I see him. But thanks for having me on. Anytime. It's been a pleasure. It's always been fun. And fins up. Let's go beat the Chargers tomorrow. And
yeah, big game tomorrow afternoon.
Yep.
4 o'clock.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. What do you guys think the game's gonna go out tomorrow?
Well, Jason and I had talked about it yesterday, and we were basically both discussing how we think it's gonna be a likely shootout as it was last Sunday. But I don't think Justin Herbert is as talented just yet as Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray's running ability is just absolutely unbelievable. Seemed as if he was able to gain 10, 12 yards every time he ran the football. But I honestly see the Dolphins securing win number 6 tomorrow afternoon. I know Kalen Ballage, a former Dolphins running back, is activated. He's coming off the practice squad. He'll be on the LA Chargers sideline. So that will be definitely interesting to watch. I'm waiting for all the tweets to come out every time he gets his carry. So it'll definitely be interesting to see tomorrow afternoon.
Justin, what are your thoughts on tomorrow's games?
I think it's going to be a really good game. I think the Dolphins are going to win the game. I think that we're going to have to overcome a lot that we're already dealing with now with this COVID thing. We don't know whether Wilkins and Kyle Van Noy are going to go. Preston Williams is out, so we're going to have to overcome that. Plus we have running backs and 5 assistant coaches. It'll be just like last week, and we're going to find a way to get it done. We're a resilient bunch, and we play for one another, and we play for each other. And we're going to come out on top. I think Tua's going to put on another show. I think Agba is going to come out there and keep doing what he's been doing. And I guarantee you the defense gets at least 2 interceptions off of Justin Herbert. 2. That's what I'm calling right there. But we'll see what happens.
That's a definite bold prediction, and we all love to hear that, Justin.
Definitely. Thank you. Let's hope it happens.
Take care, buddy.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Take care, everybody. God bless.